Hey you guys, Sarah Picaro here. Today's video, we're going to get into the different types of mental abuse. How fun. Did you know that there was more than one? Whether you're just coming out of a toxic and unhealthy relationship, whether you were raised by people who treated you this way. Today, we're going to cover the 8 different types, actually 4, 8, there's 12. Today we're going to cover the 12. Yay, how fun. There's more than one. There's 12 that we're going to cover today. Different types of mental abuse. All of these that we're going to cover today impact and affect you at every level, mentally, emotionally, energetically, spiritually, oftentimes physically, financially. There are representations and manifestations of this mental abuse that you've endured on every level, in every way. So to really go from being stuck in this state of surviving through these different types of mental abuse that you've endured that we're going to cover today, to go to thriving, you need some inner work. And that inner work, I'm not just talking about inner conscious work, using affirmations, manifestations, workbooks, listening to podcasts, reading books. All those things are very helpful. And those impact you at a very conscious level. They can make you very aware of the different types of mental abuse that you've endured, just like the ones that we're going to cover today. This is going to be understanding, awareness, knowledge at a very, very conscious level, which is the beginning of the journey to healing. But true transformation, true inner healing, true inner change has to come from within, has to come from the unconscious level. Otherwise, consciously, you just know a lot of stuff, but you don't feel any different. You oftentimes feel even worse because you know you should. With all this knowledge and all of this experience, you should be feeling better. You should be knowing better and should stop falling into those traps that you're falling into. The traps that are there, that are set because of the types of mental abuse that you've endured that we're going to cover today. So understand there's a massive difference. There's a very, very big difference. And when I talk about doing the inner work to heal, I mean unconsciously reprogramming, rewiring your unconscious mind, getting rid of the old belief systems, getting rid of the negative and limiting belief systems that you have about yourself that create the thoughts that you have about yourself, that create the feelings that you have about yourself that lead to the action or inaction in your life. And all 12 of these types of mental abuse that we're going to cover today impact you on every level. They impact your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, your results that you get. And all of that stems from the beliefs that you have about yourself because of the impact of these 12 types of mental abuse that you've endured. So let's get into defining them so that you can bump up your knowledge about them, okay? One type of mental abuse is name calling. And you see this from the very, 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 from the youngest level. Little kids call each other names. Little kids call each other poopy butt and stupid face. And that's kind of kid talk. But bullying, childhood bullying, name calling is part of one of the types of mental abuse. When someone uses a derogatory name like idiot or loser or stupid, specifically when this is someone that you look up to, that you care about, that you love, that you admire, your parents, your teachers, your coaches. If you have a parent that tells you you're stupid, you're a loser, you're good for nothing, and compares you to other people as if you're down here and all of those other people are up here, it makes an impact. And oftentimes you brush it off or you're told, get over it. I was just kidding. I was just messing with you. Gosh, you're so sensitive. What's the big deal? And it's belittled. It's not taken seriously. And that is a very serious type of mental abuse, is name calling, because you begin to believe that you are those things. Your unconscious mind takes that as programming and runs everything through the lens, through the filter of that name, of someone who's stupid, of someone who's good for nothing, of someone who's a loser, of someone who's an idiot. Now that becomes a belief that you have about yourself. That creates the thoughts that you have about yourself. I'm so stupid. No wonder I couldn't figure it out. No wonder I didn't get that raise or promotion. I don't deserve it. I'm such an idiot. They're so much smarter than me. Then you take action in that, right? You don't put yourself out there. You feel that you're insecure, self-confident, you have no self-worth, no self-esteem because of all of the times that you were called those names and you began to latch onto, attach to, and connect with that and really believe that that is who you are. It becomes this identity. That's why it is a type of mental abuse. And that can really be said for all the types of mental abuse that we're going to cover in this video today. And that's the first one. Second one is gaslighting. Gaslighting is, it's when someone makes the other doubt their understanding of reality. I talk a lot about narcissistic abuse, emotionally unavailable people, narcissistic parents, narcissistic partners. They're notorious for this. They are notorious for this type of mental abuse and using it with the people that they're in the relationship or contact with. Gaslighting. It's when someone else can get you or a person to doubt their understanding of reality. You may know, believe, and understand what you know, believe, and understand to be true. And that person gets you to question it. They might sprinkle in a little bit of truth, but they get you to question it and wonder, and they implement doubt into it. That's gaslighting, because then your reality changes. Your reality becomes distorted. Your reality becomes very muddy and very unclear. So that's a form of mental abuse. And it is one that people like that will use to control, manipulate, and abuse you and everyone else in their life. The next type of mental abuse that we're going to cover is making threats. Insert eye roll. When I was in the relationship with the last narcissist many, many years ago, so many threats were made. It is this person's ammo. It is their go-to. And it is so many toxic, emotionally immature, and emotionally damaged people's go-to is to make threats. Because when they make threats, you shrink, you get scared, you buckle down, because it triggers that fight, flight, freeze response inside of you, because you become scared, you become locked in a state of fear and worry, and you don't want that outcome of the threat to occur. So making threats is a type of mental abuse, and it is one that abusers use to get the people that they're threatening to back off, to let the abuser off the hook. So they will make threats. It's when someone makes intentions clear to possibly inflict pain, inflict control, or to inflict damage. I used to get threats on my life, on my family's life, on my friend's life, on my financial ability to provide and care for myself and my daughter, on my friend's life. If I even shared a picture of me having a good time and smiling with another friend, I would get threats on that person's life. Making threats is a very, very real type of mental and emotional abuse. And it is one that abusers will use to keep the other person scared and to keep them to back off and to not follow through with the consequences for having boundaries crossed or for having court orders crossed. I mean, you see this all over the place, threats being made. Another type of mental abuse is withholding, right? So withholding, that is when someone does not give affection and does not share feelings. The sign of a healthy relationship is both people co-creating that relationship, both people collaborating, both people sharing their feelings, sharing things about them, not one person doing all of that for both people. So withholding is a type of mental abuse because it keeps the other person questioning, what's wrong with me? Did I do something wrong? And then stepping into that role to make everything better, to make it okay, so that that other person doesn't have to meet you in the middle, so to speak, or even participate or co-create in that relationship. Again, it's all about power and control. When they can withhold them sharing their feelings or giving affection, it has that other person get in their head and wonder, what is wrong with me? Why do they not want me? Why are they pulling away from me? And get into that submissive position, and it keeps the other person in that more dominant position. And that is a type of mental and emotional abuse. Another one we're going to cover is blaming. You see this all the time with mental and emotional abusers, with people who have narcissistic personality disorder, narcissistic traits. Blaming, when someone says the other one is guilty of something and is untrue. Cool thing about blaming, this is what I love about blaming, is that what that person is blaming you for is more than likely what they are guilty of. What they're blaming you for is more than likely what they've done. Say, for example, that person is constantly blaming you on cheating, on talking to other people. You can bet that's what they're doing. So blaming is revealing, but they will blame the other person of something that they say they're guilty for. That's untrue. Let's take the cheating thing, for example. You constantly get blamed every time you go out with your girlfriends or just go out for dinner or guy friends, whoever. It's not a gender thing. That you're out there and you're just hooking up with a bunch of people. And you're thinking, no, I'm not. I send you pictures. I literally was texting you all night and I really didn't even enjoy myself because I was texting you and we were text arguing. Yet you're blaming me for cheating. I sent you pictures. You know who I was with. I validated that because they came over the night before and we talked about where we're going to go. I even came home early. So how in the world could I have been cheating on you? But they will blame you for things that are untrue and more than likely things that they are doing themselves. So a very common type of mental and emotional abuse. Another one is humiliation. When someone shames or embarrasses another person or reduces their self-worth. I hope you heard the last line. Reduces their self-worth through humiliation, making fun of that person, belittling that person, knocking and bringing them down, specifically in front of other people, saying very nasty, very cutting, very negative things about you, things that are personal and intimate to you. They're sharing with people that you don't want them to know about that. And you're thinking, why would you say that? Like, that was between us. So when someone humiliates you, that's a type of mental abuse. So it's a sign of mental abuse. When someone purposely and consistently embarrasses you or reduces your self-worth in front of other people, again, makes you feel this big, makes you, your insides, and you physically feel like you're shrinking into this raisin. You feel like there's nothing left to you. You just want to crawl in a hole and hide because that person is humiliating and embarrassing you. Maybe they do it in front of your boss. Maybe they do it in front of your family and they tell them very personal things, things that you don't want anybody to know and you let them know, or they were a part of knowing. So humiliation is a type of mental abuse. This leads to the next one, constant criticism. When someone judges or shares negative ideas or opinions about another. So they can be constantly criticizing you. They can also be constantly criticizing your upbringing, your family, your friends, your job. When there's constant criticism, when that's all you hear, when you're just bombarded with criticism, it doesn't necessarily specifically have to be about you directly, but there is a connection to how it relates with you. So for example, if they're not criticizing you, but they're criticizing your friends and they're putting them down and saying, oh my gosh, this person is so blah, blah, blah. All they do is go off about this. And you just want to cover your ears and just scream at them to stop. Constant criticism is a type of mental abuse. So many people that I work with were raised in an environment where the parents were constantly criticizing everything, criticizing what's going on in the world, criticizing the parents' teachers, criticizing, or not the parents' teachers, the child's teacher, criticizing the child's coach, criticizing everything. And all you hear is criticism and this person just sharing their negative ideas and negative thoughts and negative opinions about another. It doesn't have to be directly towards you. It can just be in general, but that's a type of mental abuse. Again, it makes you just want to crawl into a hole, cover your ears, and just hide so that you don't have to hear it, because you know there will come a point that they're saying that about everyone else, they're going to say it about you too at some point or another. You get thrown in that pot with everyone else. So that's a type of mental abuse. The next one we're going to cover is dismissiveness. When someone puts another person's needs away as irrelevant, they completely dismiss them, and you don't feel that you have a place to share your feelings, to speak up, that they will be heard, that they will be considered, that they will be validated. They're just completely dismissed. I talk a lot about childhood emotional neglect as well as narcissistic abuse because they're so directly intertwined and correlated, and dismissiveness is prevalent here. When you grew up in a neglectful environment, perhaps you had everything that you needed physically and you were taken care of and blah, 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 but your emotional needs were dismissed. They were put away, cast away as irrelevant, as not important. You are left believing about yourself that you're unimportant, that you don't matter, that you're insignificant. Your self-worth gets shot when you experience this, when you experience consistent dismissiveness. This can even happen with well-meaning parents, with parents who are busy, with parents who are working multiple jobs just to keep their head above water and a roof over your head. They didn't mean to dismiss your emotional needs. Maybe they were unaware and they were unconsciously dismissing their own because they're so busy trying to provide for you. So dismissiveness is a type and form of mental abuse, but it's not always done consciously, or it's not always done intentionally. It can come from well-meaning and well-loving parents who just, maybe there's multiple kids in the house and they just don't have time, and you're the youngest one or you're the middle one. So you're the one who always feels like, my gosh, you never have time for me. You never listen to me. What I feel is irrelevant, insignificant, and it's not important. It doesn't matter to you. And you may have felt that towards your parent or toward the caregiver or towards a partner, but that is a sign and type of mental abuse. The next one we're going to cover is the silent treatment. If you've been with a narcissist, you more than likely experienced the silent treatment. Oh, when someone ignores the other person on purpose or pretends that they don't exist. I cannot tell you how many times I have heard people that I've worked with say when they're sharing their stories, and honestly saying this with so much love, the story is irrelevant. It's the impact that it's had on you. It's the beliefs that you have about yourself because of the story that are most important and most relevant. It's not the story itself. And in fact, telling the story too many times strengthens the bond that you have to it. That's the definition of trauma bond. You become bonded to that trauma. So please don't overshare and overtell your story, because every time you do, you reinforce it and you strengthen it. But with people that I've worked with, they've told me that the silent treatment, it's just silence, right? You can be in the same room, in the same house, under the same roof as that person, and they will not talk to you. And you're left begging, come on, please just talk to me. What did I do? Please tell me. I honestly have no idea what I did. And that person is purposely ignoring you or pretending that you don't exist in order to control you, in order to manipulate you, because that leaves you begging, that leaves you on your knees and your hands, and that leaves you pleading to them. Again, puts them in a position of power, them up here, you down here, when they give you the silent treatment. That is a form of mental and emotional abuse, one that is used a lot. Another one is belittling. So belittling is when someone says something to lower self-worth and to belittle achievements. I had this a lot with my first husband, very covert narcissist. Any accomplishment, any achievement that I would get, whether, back then it was a lot academically and a lot to do with, going to school and graduating, specific jobs. I won a lot of awards, right? I have a whole resume full of successes, accomplishments, and achievements, and they all were belittled. They all were, okay. To leave me thinking, oh my God, I worked my ass off. Are you not proud of me? Like, you saw everything that that had to go into me accomplishing and achieving this. Yeah, I know. I'm really proud of you. And you're thinking, okay. And what that does is significantly lower your self-worth, lower your confidence, lower your belief in yourself, when they can just take your big accomplishments and achievements and make them feel about this big. Notice a lot of this mental abuse is making you feel about this big. That's where your self-confidence, your self-esteem, your self-trust, and your self-worth all get minimized to. It's like teeny, teeny, tiny, and that impacts everything that you do. You feel so small and so lost in this big world, right? With all these big things, and you feel unable and incapable of having big dreams and going after and accomplishing and achieving those things when you've experienced all these types of mental abuse, especially belittling, because belittling can be very covert. Belittling can happen just from a look of just, no, I said I was proud of you, but just the little crinkle of the nose and the wrinkle of the forehead, you can think, well, that doesn't indicate that you're proud of me. That doesn't make me feel that you're proud of me. Are you sure you're proud of me? Right? And this is someone that you put a lot of time, energy, and effort into creating a relationship with, or are dependent on, especially if you're in a childlike position with this person. So when someone belittles you, it lowers your self-esteem and lowers your self-worth. It makes you feel like, yeah, you didn't accomplish what you actually accomplished. So that's a sign and form of mental abuse. Another one is isolation. Isolation is kind of like the silent treatment, but it's different. It's when someone prevents you or one or a person from seeing their friends, when they isolate you. A lot of times they'll isolate you away from your family or for your friends. They won't let you go see them, or they'll talk you out of seeing them. They'll separate you from them. You won't do things together. And if you do things together, they will isolate themselves from the group. I remember this with the first narcissist, isolation. I mean, we did do something with a big group of friends, my friends. And that person just went, like, left, just walked away, left me getting questioned of, hey, where'd he go? And me thinking, I have no idea. And then like seeing him walk like way over there and then going over there, hey, what's going on? No, I'm just not having any fun. I'm ready to go when you are. And thinking, what do you do? Like, we're having so much fun. Why don't you come join us? No, I'm ready to go. And isolation can even happen when you're there. A lot of times though, you'll notice that they want to isolate you. They'll move you away from your family and your friends. They won't want to do things together. They'll say, no, you go, I'm fine, I'll just stay here. And you're thinking, well, I love them and I love you and I want to do this all together. And they're isolated from your friends, or cause you to isolate from your friends, from your family, from your support, so that they become your only source of support. So know that that is a sign of mental and emotional abuse as well. The last one that we'll get into today is trivializing. Trivializing is when someone claims the other is overreacting or being dramatic. When they just say, my God, you're just trivializing everything. They're telling you that you're being overly dramatic, you're overreacting, and you're thinking, no, I'm actually not. I'm responding, I'm reacting. I'm not overreacting, but they're telling you you're being dramatic, you're overreacting, you're making a big deal of this. They're getting you, again, it's very similar to gaslighting, getting you to think that you are when you don't believe that you are, when you think that you're not. Yeah, you're reacting. I mean, we all react and respond to things all the time, but they make you think that you're overreacting and that you're being too much and you just want attention on you and you're being overly dramatic and they can't take it. And it's, oh my God, I have to deal with this again. Really, you're doing this again. And it's a way to put you down. It's a type of and form of mental abuse. So if you're constantly getting that feedback from someone that that is who you are, it's going to chink down your self-confidence, your self-worth, your self-esteem. Again, another method to make you feel this big. So those are 12 different types of mental abuse. You see these a lot in very toxic, very manipulative relationships. And it's not so much about the story. And again, I caution you in telling your story too many times, because every time you do, you become bonded to it. So when you really truly want to get to the very core and the very root of this, the focus has to be about the impact it's had on you, not the story, not the events themselves, but the impact it's had on you, the beliefs that you have about yourself now. And you may not even know what those are. You may become aware of the thoughts that you have because they're consistent, they're negative, they're heavy, they're judgmental. You may feel the pain physically in your body. But to get to the very, very core and very root of the beliefs that you have about yourself because of the experience of all these different types of mental and emotional abuse, that takes support. You can't get there on your own because your conscious mind will block you from it because it was painful enough the first time you experienced it. Your conscious mind doesn't say, oh yeah, let's have you go through more pain. It wants to move you away from the pain. That's why it becomes really difficult to remember all the details sometimes of the experiences in which you endure this type of mental and emotional abuse. And you don't need to in order to heal. So please understand that. It's not about the stories and whether you remember all the details or not. It's truly about connecting at the unconscious level with the beliefs that you have about yourself. And you'll see that in the ways that everything else in your life plays out. The thoughts that you have, the actions or inactions that you take, the results that you get or don't get, the way that you procrastinate, the way that you self-sabotage, the way that you self-harm, using normal things like food or alcohol or relationships. You'll see it in your life and you'll feel it and you'll feel completely broken. You'll feel completely lost after you've gone through these different types of mental and emotional abuse. If that's where you're at and you're ready for inner healing and you're ready for a powerful transformation, I would love to talk to you. I would love to connect to you with you, not to you. I would love to connect with you and see if we are a good fit to work together. That's where I meant to say too. So you can find links in the description below to do that and to learn more about transforming past pain to present power, that program that I invite you to join us in today. And in the meantime, I hope you found this video informational and helpful to you, especially if you're in the beginning of your journey, if you're in that awareness stage, if you're really just gathering knowledge and understanding, yes, 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 wow, and looking for and hopefully receiving from this video validation of what you went through, what you experienced, and knowing that there is true power within you that is ready and waiting for you to tap into it, to connect with it, to unleash it so that you can heal and be unmessable with after you've experienced this type of mental and emotional abuse. So I'd love to guide you on that journey if we're a good fit to work together. So let's make sure to connect. All right, guys. That is all for today. I hope you've enjoyed this video of the 12 signs of mental and emotional abuse, and I'll talk to you soon.